Yes, I said that.
They're not pipelines, so there shouldn't be leaking gas. And he said he smelled gas downstairs and up here as well. And, so you go down to the furnace room, you can smell it real strong. And it's like, well, there's only two things that happen. You know, the water heater is electric. So the only thing that's heat is the furnace. That's gas.
Yes, for a few more weeks, talk about kings from the aspect of, it says in Revelation 1:6, talking about us, it says, the Lord Jesus, and hath made us kings and priests unto God and his Father. To him be glory and dominion forever and ever. And Revelation 5:10 also says, and hast made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. This still amazes me that it's talking about, in this king, it's talking about us being a foundation of power, of sovereignty. That's grace. God would do that for us, would use us that way. We'll be in chapter 21. Love word prayer, then we'll be in chapter 21. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this morning. Thank you again for the opportunity to be around your word, so your word can be in us, affect us, change us, just help us think, help us to consider, just help us to stand in awe of how great you are, your mercies, your grace, and everything you're doing in us, putting in us to equip us and use us. And so we just ask that you help us learn from this, and it's for Christ's sake we pray. Amen. 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 Revelation 21:1 says, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. And often when I read this verse, I think her name is Brittany. A little girl used to come to the Sunday school class in junior church, and she was somewhere around 10 or 11 when she left, and her parents wouldn't let her come to Sunday school for a period of time. And I forget we visited or made contact with her or something. Anyway, she was sort of getting some instruction from her parents. And we had her to claim this verse. I said, talking about kings, but I said, if it's, see, that's a thing, side note, ready? If it's truth, you can take it out of one setting and put it into another, and it'll work. You take it out of family, put it into business, it'll work. Take it out of business, put it into government, it'll work. Take it out of government, put it into local church, it'll work. And so, applying this, it said very specifically for her, the Father's heart is in the hand of the Lord, and as rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. We asked her to claim that verse. And she prayed that verse, we prayed that verse, claimed it, and she started coming back, was able to start coming back to church. God changed their heart. And in this, it says the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. Now, there's a very practical side of government elements, and we see in this omnipotence. And later on, we'll be looking at, we see submission. The fellow in Pope commentary talked about by hidden influences and providential arrangements, God disposes the monarch to order his government so as to carry out his designs, to spread around joy and plenty. The system of irrigation signified in this passage is still to be seen in eastern lands. Flower beds and gardens of herbs are always made at a lower level than the surrounding ground, and they're divided into small squares. A slight edging of earth banking the whole round on each side. Water is then let in and floods the entire surface till the soil is thoroughly saturated, after which the moisture is turned off to another bed by simply closing and opening the one under water by a turn of the bare foot of the gardener, and making another in the same way with the foot in the next bed. Thus the whole garden is in due course watered. Only in this case, the hand is supposed to make the gap in the clay bank of the streamlet and divert the current. Says the king's heart is in the hands of the Lord, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. God is so powerful. We see things that may happen, and yet it's so subtle, so quiet. But it's talking about the foot, just opening up that little dike and the dirt and the water starts to trickle across. That's all God has to do with a monarch, just with his foot to get things going the way God wants it to go. He can do that with a political election.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just got to do it. In our history of our life, he's done it both ways. Says, I got some judgment to bring on this people. I'm going to bring in a bad one to set it up to upset me, so I'll judge them. Says I'll give a little reprieve. God just doing things. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord as a river of water. Turneth it whithersoever. What's it say? He turneth it whithersoever he will. Another fellow, E. Johnson, he mentioned he forms and turns the purposes of the heart as the potter with the clay. To Cyrus he says, I have called thee by name, have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me. Places there too where it called him his servant. But Cyrus would have said, I'm king! God says, no, you got that all backwards. You're my servant. He's doing what he wanted him to do. But also when we think about maybe a little shade of difference there where it says the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Talk about us being kings. Now we willfully, as kings made it unto Christ, unto our God, we willfully place our hearts before him to do with us what he will. We might be servants, like the preacher's favorite verse is probably forgotten. I beseech you, therefore, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. See, that's the king. That's the kings and queens we've been made. To hear my Lord. Amen. A lot of that tied in with Kyrios, Lord, master, owner of my life. I'm slave to you. What would you have me to do? What would you have me to do today? And so in that we would ask, how pliable should we be? You know, if some of you are familiar with rawhide, you know, it's rawhide, it's leather, and when it's just dry, it's just stiff. I mean, it's stiff. I forget what history books I've read about somewhere along the line, talking about buffalo hides. And they'd skin those buffalo hides, lay them out to dry, and they said, man, when them things dried, they're like steel. They are like steel. Well, if you wanted to form it into a shape, so you wanted to form it around your 380 bob, you soak that leather, get it all real pliable. Of course, you can do it with alcohol if you're making a holster, but you soak it in water, and then it gets, man, you can just put it in any shape you want. You know, it's just pliable. So that's the way we're to be. Yeah. What shape does God wanted us to get into? Faith shape, grace shape, whatever shapes like that. Are we flexible like a young tree in a stormy wind? God brings those storms, Jesus did, to the disciples. Who we've been with. We be like a palm tree. And I've seen them leaning way over, but they only go what they say. They're so flexible that a hurricane could be strong enough, and they'll lay right down on the ground. When the wind quits blowing, come right back up again. Are you like that? I'm preaching to myself, too. Because this last week I had an issue Friday. It was a drove, and it was what I call a messy day. Just little things, just made it messy. Didn't go smooth. Just get going. Have to stop, check something. Just it was a messy day. And so then I was supposed to be back by 3, and the dispatcher just was 2.5 hours short of estimating when I would get back. And so I get there, and God's grace was worked and got it unloaded, so I was highly satisfied and praising the Lord. And I come in, and there's a reason I pull in the driveway, and calling the right-hand man to the owner, one of the managers, he pulls up beside the truck, and I shut her off because be quiet. Asked my name, and he asked me not to turn in that way into the driveway. He said, come in through the station. And he gave me the premise of space and time for the truck with traffic. I understood that. I accepted that. I said, yes, sir. He requested that I not turn in the driveway from the left-hand side, but come in the gas station. And anyway, it was a review. And it greatly affected me. Man, I worked all day to make that route work, and then at the end, I get a review. That bowed me over. I went to sleep with it. Woke up with it. Went to sleep with it the next night. Woke up with it. Finally, because his reasoning was the exact same reasoning. I did not pull in through the station. I'm thinking of all the customers, I could ask Skeeter, would you like it going to the gas station and all these big trucks swarming around you? You might once, never come back again. So I'm thinking of the customers. I'm thinking of the owner over there, that he knocks on a nickel off my coffee once in a while when I carry a cup of coffee there. And so I had to wrestle for 2 days, to resolve it. So I came up with a resolve. But the issue is, are you pliable? Are you pliable?
That's right.
And there's so many things when God asks us to do things. We say, I got a routine. And the Lord's asking you to do something, mess up your routine. The Lord's calling on you for some consecration, to give him more time just so he can be a bigger blessing to you. Are you pliable enough to give up some of your life for his life? See, how pliable are you? How pliable are we? And somewhere along the way, because you've been pliable, you might come up with a number, how often has the course, the river course of your life been changed? Yes, sir.
I find most Christians say, yes, Lord, I'll serve you on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, and on Monday it's over. Or you say, I'll serve you, Lord, on Saturday. You got 2 hours. Get in it, get done what we got to do, and I'm done. And that's the way your average Christian serves. I'll determine what I do, when I do it, how I do it, and how long I'll do it. They're not serving God, they're serving themselves to please others around them, saying, I serve the Lord. See what I did? Might have nothing to do with what the Lord wants you to be doing. Until the selfishness gets out of the hearts of the Christians and they start serving God according to what he would have for them to do and find out, church will stay in the mess it's in. And I'm talking about the church overall, over this whole entire country. You've got to serve the Lord as the Lord sees fit for you to serve. not when you decide you're going to serve. How many times have I asked someone about doing something? Well, I don't have time. I don't have time. I want to serve the Lord. But this is the time I have. If you make time when the Lord has something for you to do, and stop making excuses saying, I only have this. Well, you only have this much for the Lord, but He gave us all. It's time we started giving all and stop making excuses why we can't.
It's like the memory verse that we had in Sunday school. We live by faith, not by sight.
Yeah.
It's a whole different realm. Living by faith. Diana, it's a lot of things flooding in my mind now. Lord, to crank it up. Psychologists are always asking, why? We were listening, this is another side note. I want to invite you to get acquainted with Jim Benny, a preacher, but he's a marriage counselor. And he's hardcore according to the Bible. Marriage according to the Bible, relations according to the Bible. If God doesn't say it, He doesn't dream something up. But the question is not why, but should be asking what. What's causing me? What's the situation that tempts me? What can I do to get out of it? You know, working toward the solution. God's always working us toward the solution. And I was listening to a message from Camp Zion, I forget how many years ago, a lot of years ago, and Bob Martin, who's been with us, was preaching on worship. And biblical worship, as he brought it out, every time the word worship in the New Testament, the verb is in the present tense. That means we don't worship God on Sunday, just Sunday. When we wake up Monday, our hearts should have that connection.
Amen.
Yep.
Monday afternoon, our hearts should have that connection. See, everything else will fall in place when worship's in place. If there's no relationship with our Savior. See, it's mathematically simplistic. How's that sound? That sounds like I can get a substitute job. What I lost the dream about. Mathematically simplistic. If we have we wake up with a relationship, worship relationship with Christ, what that means is we have His heart. We have His eyes. We have His voice. Everything will fall in place. You know, just maybe before you go in the grocery store, just wait a little bit outside the door and say, Lord, yeah, I got it. Got you in my heart. Walk up to that teller and say, have you heard about a wonderful person today? Whoa. Have you heard about the Lord Jesus? Whoa. You know, you don't know what kind of reaction you'll get. But that's what we need. That's what I need.
Amen.
We've got to have worship all the time. Not just Sunday, not just when the music's just right. No. Abraham didn't have any stereo mood music out there on Mount Moriah. He didn't have that. He just had God. Him and God. Doing what God told him to do, just him and God. Because he was in worship. How was he able to offer, how was he even able to pull the knife out of the sheep? He was in worship. So he could do the hard stuff because he was in worship. We can do what, living life before others and talking to others, it's hard. You got the devil saying, they're not going to like this. They're going to jump all over you. And you're going, yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. And your feet will keep going, and your mouth will still speak because you got the worship going. It's mathematically simplistic. The impliable. It's not the being pliable. It's not the type where we think about being drawn by our lust. It's not by lust like the simple. Proverbs 1:32 says, "For turning away the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them." But turn to James 3:17. Just want to see it. You know your verse, but it talks about this condition that makes us pliable as kings and queens. We need to realize we have authority. So many things in this. But this pliableness should be by the fruit of wisdom. James 3, verse 17 says, "But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy, good fruits, without partiality, and without hypocrisy." We're talking about us being kings and priests and queens before our God. We have that connection. All things being equal, we have that connection with God's wisdom. And a proof text of having wisdom is in that third phrase there, easy to be entreated. Easy to be entreated. Nobody likes to be told they're doing something wrong. So I've been doing this for 17 years. And have somebody come up and say, help you, say, like to help you, there's a better way to do it. There's a better way to do it. And we come across things all the time at our house. We say, well, it took 65 years to learn how to do this. It took 70 years. It wasn't that long ago. It's taken almost 71 years to learn how to do this easier. Been doing it for 70 years. Why did they do it that way? It's easier to do it this way. You got a lot of surprises coming up. But the fruit of wisdom, a better way, a truer way. Finding out we're doing something according to sight instead of faith, like a verse talked about earlier. Doing something according to flesh instead of by faith. We find out, we go, whoa, why am I doing it? Why am I doing it that way? Especially it might be through the preacher preaching, or you're reading, or somebody's testimony, and you go, ah! But see, if you have God's wisdom, you go, Lord, help me. Lord, instead of doing it like this, I got to do it like this. You're going to have to create a whole new habit in me. And, well, like the old slogan goes, God can teach an old dog new tricks. You say you can't, but see, God can. You say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but God can. He can change the leopard's spot. Yeah. Okay. Let's see, Proverbs chapter 22. You look at 11 and 29, there's some, they're not exactly the same, but there's some similarity of a core value. Just, I think we can tie them together. Verse 11 says, "He that loveth pureness of heart, for the grace of his lips, the king shall be his friend." Verse 29 says, "Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before kings. He shall not stand before mean men." Similar to a former verse, there's kind of like a responsiveness. If we're a proper king and queen, there is something that attracts us. You say, I like that. I'd like to have that around. You know, it's kind of like a little bit like going to Camp Zion, and so you want to have a little bit of that around, so you buy some CDs and play them once in a while, because you want to have that around you. But he that loveth pureness of heart, the grace of his lips, The king shall be his friend. I was talking about somebody with a pureness of heart. See, what's in the heart comes out of our speech. What's in the heart comes out of our lips. And then this verse 11, the king likes it. The king likes it. And also that this individual, probably because of pureness of heart, says, seest thou a man diligent in his business, he shall stand before kings. A man diligent. Diligent, that requires heart. It requires heart. And a king appreciates and commends those with pure attitudes of heart. And, where is it? In Psalm 1963, says, I am a companion of all them that fear thee, and of them that keep thy precepts. It's talking about our companionship, our close friendships, those we like having around us, being those that fear God and keep his precepts. But as loyalty, we should be attracted to that. We should want it. You might say, draw it in. It mentions it in Proverbs, talk about having counsel. And that's the type of people you want to draw in for counsel, or once in a while you can just seek them for information, or because of the heart they have, you can just kind of, would you take some of my heart? Help me carry this thing. And they'll understand. They'll understand. I've mentioned I have many people, and you're the same way, people with counsel here in this church, in certain areas, certain expertise, and go to them, bounce things off them, and because they're a pure heart, they fear God, they keep his precepts, and so even the information, you might say, is just earthly information, but it's what God has done and used that it gives it a little special edge and advantage. The familiar verse you remember, it's one of my favorites on the subject, Mark 7:21, says, for Jesus was talking, says, for from within, out of the heart of men, proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, murders, and he goes on in the second verse, just naming all the stuff that comes out of the heart. See, it says, out of the heart of men proceed. So whatever's in the heart, this came to mind, as a man so thinketh in his heart, so is he. The heart, everything is controlled, guided, influenced by the heart. But Luke 6:45 says, a good man, out of the good treasure of his heart, bringeth forth that which is good. And an evil man, out of the evil treasure of his heart, bringeth forth that which is evil. For of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaketh. And so the king, we should be conscious about that. Those of pureness of heart. Where that verse 29 talks about, saith a man diligent in his business. This fellow, we see the word diligent. This is why it's important that you when we say a Bible preaching church, you're learning what the Bible says. Because when you first look at the word diligent, you'll get part of the meaning. You know, it means you probably hard worker. Oh, it goes beyond that. It goes beyond that. It talks about diligent. It talks about quick. Hence, skillful. Quick. I've had privilege of, I know three, what I call masters. And one of those was formerly our dentist, Dr. Draper. He was a master. He said he was a dentist. He was a master. I never had better. He was fast. I mean, he through your mouth and that case, all that buzzing, whatever. I mean, it was in, done, and this stage. He was a master. And one time I told him, gave testimony about I had the privilege of 3 masters in my life. And I said, you're one of them. And we used to have good fellow. He's a saved fellow. And we had good fellowship over it. And he took me for a tour through his other little cubicles, showing me pictures of his airplanes. I said, oh, these are your airplanes? You know, he says, yeah, that's right there. It's restored biplane, you know, open cockpit. But he was diligent. He was quick and skillful. You know, how do you say it? Those, how do you say it? To be, we can look at it 2 ways. One for our Lord Jesus Christ, whatever he says, we want to be quick. And he'll make us skillful. That's what's unique too. He says, I'm not very good at this. Well, he'll give you wisdom. He'll give you knowledge, and you'll get skillful. And you may need some practice where you just like all practice, you practice doing something and you fail. But you learned something in the failure. So the next time you try it, you say, well, I know not to go this way. I got to go this way. And instead of going this way, I'm going to go this way. It's all different, all different, all different. And each time you do it, it gets different. You learn something. You learn failures. My mom used to say, oh, road to success is paved with failures. I said, well, where's my freeway? I've had so many failures, I ought to have at least a 6-lane freeway by now. I'm still on this 2-track thing, bumping around different tree roots. What's going on? Still tearing the pan out of my car. What's going on? I haven't got it yet. Don't come to my house if you want to run on that successful freeway. Don't come to my house. But the diligent man, seest thou a man diligent in his business, he shall stand before kings. And in our position of royalty, that's the type of associations we want people, meaningful, quick for the Lord. And it talks about there, it says, he shall not stand before mean men. It goes beyond somebody being grumpy. It's talking about somebody, it comes from, the word comes from, it talks about darkness, but it comes from the word to be dark because of somebody withholding light. See, if you're diligent in business, you're going to be somewhat aggressive to learn. You're going to be aggressive to practice. You're going to be aggressive to accomplish. You're going to be aggressive to reach a goal. Somebody that's a mean man, he's going to say, whoa, 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 just slow it down. His final word might be, manana. You don't need to get it done by Sunday, maybe in a couple of weeks. You know, always putting a withholding type darkness. You know, you come in all bright-eyed. You know, now, I'm not negative about you coming into church and being happy here. I mean, as far as having the freedom to be bubbly here that you can't be at home. Maybe you can't be bubbly at home. You got so many obstacles, but this is your refuge. This is a place where we come to rest. This is the place where we come to heal and things. So you come, somebody might come in here, you know, your eyes are just sparkling, and that would be something. Now, if you're royalty, you know, you want those close to you who are also diligent in business. And so you'll learn the hard way who the ones are that are mean people. Not grumpy. They're just going to be hold back. So no, they'll try to put a dark shade on things. You know, well, it really just appears like it's looking good. It's probably going to go bad, you know. This person that's diligent in his business, he shall stand before kings. He shall not stand before those dark people withholding light. And often they're called on for counsel. John the Baptist was called on for counsel. And he got into spiritual things with old Herod, and he also covered the subject of marriage. And it didn't go so well after that. Herod didn't like his counsel. You might say he was a mean man. Daniel was also one of those before, called on for counsel many times. Many times. So, he that loveth pureness of heart, and seest thou a man diligent in his business, the king shall be his friend. Those are the ones who like. All right. I just go on and didn't slip into something. God loves pure hearts. The Lord loves those that are diligent. And he says there's going to be a grace coming out of our lips. The term God will be your friend. And he'll have you standing before himself. I remember a missionary from the Philippines. And I think of Martin, but before him there was a missionary that pioneered the Philippines. He died also of cancer out in the Philippines. But the next pastor, who also was a medical doctor, he also did the clinic on the side. He was in the U.S. Bob Hughes, he was a missionary. And this was a convert under his ministry, this doctor. And he says, how do you build the largest church in the Philippines? How do you reach hundreds and hundreds and thousands out on the street in the Philippines? He says, how do you have all this works going on in the Philippines? Oh, he cut loose with a 4-letter word. Work! Work! Work. Who are you working for? King of my life. I praise him now. Lord Jesus. Work for him. Be diligent. Work for him. Have pureness of heart. Grace of wisdom. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this morning. Thank you for the great King we do serve. And pray you help us to ever, each week, just desire, serve you a little better, serve you a little better, serve you a little better. It does require being diligent. Work, by faith, through grace, and we might see your name glorified. It's through Christ we pray. Thank you. Bless in the next hour that you've been good to us today. Amen.